Yeah.
And we're back with CETV and the Soul Man Frank, and sitting to my immediate right is Warwick Williams, National Trainer from Fujifilm Australia. So we're honoured to be here talking about some new products, and thank you very much to all of our loyal fans from Camera Electronic, and any new fans, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Saul is going to be asking questions now. It's a bit weird, isn't it? But never mind.
Talking about yourself in the third person.
I do that. Okay. Warwick, what have we got here? Let's start on our immediate right and work our way through some of the new products.
It's pretty hard to ignore something like this, isn't it? This is obviously the GFX 100, but what's new is the brand new 45 to 100mm zoom lens.
Oh my God, I noticed it's got optical image stabilizer built into the lens, but don't you have an amazing IBIS image stabilizer on the body anyway?
They work together in this case. Okay. So if you're using the other ones, the 50R or the 50S, this will work quite happily, and you get image stabilization in there.
Okay, so it's also nice to have that then, so you can have dual image stabilizer between body and lens, but if you're on the other medium format bodies, you've got optical image stabilizer. Perfect.
So this really completes, I suppose, the three zoom lenses. So you've got 32 to 64, the 45 to 100, and then the 100 to 200. So if you want to take a zoom kit with you on the
these are all Constant F4 lenses?
Yes, they are. So that's that's nice. And
if anyone trips us up on that, make a comment. You might win a prize.
So they work beautifully. They're weather resistant. I've travelled extensively with the 32 to 64, and I've probably treated it in ways it shouldn't be treated. Yeah, right. But it survived quite happily, and honestly,
I have seen some videos, I think, where people even poured a glass of water over it. And
yes, well, we've done some of my own videos in the past where we said you can pour a bucket of water over the cameras, but you just can't put it in a bucket of water, and we have actually
not submersible, and there's never a bucket of wine close by when you're with Warwick, because the wine is normally gone.
Thank you.
And
sound
when
like an alcoholic now.
it's hard not to be in this industry. When we were setting this up, I noticed the viewfinder. We'll talk about the GF100 for a second. You slid it off and on. Why would you do that?
Oh, well, this does have removable viewfinder. So, if you prefer to use the cameras, the old sort of overhead viewing. That. But there's also an optional adapter that will go on here that will allow the viewfinder itself to swivel around.
Very useful if
I have
seen
it. Studio situation, and you want to use the viewfinder, but without sort of getting into awkward positions. That's an option that's available for.
That's very cool. Very cool
for this camera and the 50S.
And of course, the question a lot of people are going to be asking whilst watching the videos: when will this lens be in store at Camera Electronic?
That's
at either store. We've got two shops. And our online store?
I'd say probably within the next month, I would imagine.
Okay, brilliant. So we're looking in March. That'll be awesome. Thank you for that. So let's move on to something new and exciting, the XT200. So where does this fit in the lineup?
So this follows on from the XT100, which will continue on for a while yet. It's a step up in terms of everything about the camera, in actual fact. So it's a faster camera, slightly faster, with a new processor and a new sensor, although it's still 24 megapixel CMOS.
Okay, right. That's awesome, because I know often they go for a new processor. I didn't actually know it had a new sensor as well, so it's pretty cool.
It has a flip around screen, very popular for selfies and that sort of thing. And this is, I suppose, still considered an entry-level product, but it's something you could literally learn photography on. And also, there's enough scope within this camera that you'll actually benefit by putting more advanced lenses on. So if you do put any of our other upmarket lenses on, any of the other 30 or so XF lenses, that will actually.
I actually had to play with this the other day. So that 15 to 45, the way it zooms, it's not like the old school zooms where you twist the whole thing. It's like a power zoom.
Yeah, this is a power zoom.
Yeah, right.
The classic power zoom.
More for videographers, or?
Well, it's a lens that's packaged with the camera. As an entry-level lens, still all glass elements, but we find as if you're starting out, that power zoom is probably a little bit easier to handle.
Oh, awesome.
Of course, if you don't like that, you can move on to there's plenty of other lenses. The 18 to 55 is a beautiful XF
In this
lens.
X mount, there's about 25 lenses, I think. We're testing his knowledge now.
There's because I've got to think what's released and what isn't.
I don't want to know how many you own, because he owns them all.
There's I think about in all about 32 currently.
Wow. Fantastic.
So there's one that's only or was only available in Japan. So
he knows his stuff. Warwick Williams, ladies and gentlemen. And so, what about like if you're an enthusiast who's coming off even just awesome smartphone photography or something a bit junior to this, and you want to really step up your photography, this is the way to go?
This would be a great way to do it. Yeah.
And you got built-in Wi-Fi and all that?
Yes, all of the usual features, so you can control the camera from your mobile phone, you can transfer pictures quite happily. So as soon as
there is an app, isn't there?
Yep.
There's a Fuji app, and you can shoot from the app. Yep. Okay, awesome. And what about video? Any decent video?
4K.
Okay, that's a step up.
Probably a big step from the previous
XT100 was full HD.
It had 4K sort of video.
Okay.
15 frames per second. It was more used.
How many frames per second on this?
So this
one?
actually will go up to 30 frames per second.
Oh,
so
nice.
It's got proper 4K video.
That's beautiful. And then, of course, that hot shoe has all the electrical contacts to the Fuji flashes and other stuff.
And anything that's Fujifilm compatible, so you need TTL flash.
I really like
but it also has
tilter screen.
It has a built-in flash.
Oh,
so
I didn't know that.
Flash.
Boom. He's full of surprises, this guy. I like this. I like it. But then you've got the actual, that is very useful.
Yeah, and it is a wide screen, so if you actually switch
I do like to see myself a lot.
It is actually a 16:9 wide screen, so when you're shooting video, you actually get the full.
So you really thought about the videographer market. Yeah.
So touchscreen, controlled via buttons and dials.
I didn't know it was touchscreen either.
Yeah, it's and a new menu system to benefit that as well.
And is there firmware upgrades in this that you could put into the XT100? If you own an XT100, because they often Fuji are amazing with their firmware upgrades.
We always do firmware upgrades,
Yeah,
so there will be additional features and things. But while there probably won't be, I suppose, too many more, if any, feature benefits for the XT100, we haven't forgotten about these cameras. When we produce new lenses and release new lenses, there's usually firmware upgrades that will aim to stay compatible with all the new lenses as well. And in fact, just recently we released firmware for X Pro 1 and XE1, very early, the earliest cameras.
Yeah, I know a few people who's still running the X Pro 1 and they love it.
To stay compatible.
If you've got an X Pro 1, put a comment in the feed here. I'd love to know who still owns an X Pro 1.
There's still probably, I actually had someone the other day ask me if I knew where they could buy one. I said, well, an X Pro 1. They said, yeah, they actually wanted the X Pro 1.
So the latest is X Pro 3.
Yes, X Pro 3, which, I just happen to have.
I tell you, it's not fair. He owns them all. He literally owns them all. It's not fair.
I love this camera. Is it fantastic?
What is that lens on the front then?
So this is the little 16 2.8.
Oh, awesome lens hood as well.
It's a brilliant little combination, this one, because the camera's extremely powerful, and it looks like an old camera. And
again, comments on what cameras you own. I want to see them in the feed.
You'll find you can actually get into places with this camera where some other cameras that might look.
I think that'll be in the next video, Warwick. We don't want to know where you've been. We want to know where you're going.
Well, I can tell you that's South Pacific.
Awesome. What, are you going to take this new X100V?
I will. Yeah, that's one of the things. Yeah.
So this is not to be left at Camera Electronic.
Sorry. One of the things I try, well, two of the things I do is, yes, I will test the cameras in what I call like a lab test, and then I actually go and do a practical test, and that's usually something that involves like a travel and go and accomplish a specific project with the camera, and that's sort of when you find out the usability.
Okay. But this X100 system, this is the 5th edition.
So
they've been famous for a long time. I mean, how much more could you put into it? Because the X100F was already, people raved about it.
Well, we do get a lot of feedback from customers, both to functionality and physical design of the cameras. And we've had plenty of people that said that the 4th edition, the X100F, was sort of like the perfect version.
Yes.
But we've found people that have said they'd like other features, and so we have acceded to that.
So is it the same sensor or improved sensor?
It's an improved sensor. It's the 26.1 megapixel.
It's 24 on the old model.
So the 26.1 really pushes the boundaries.
It would do.
And of course, the whole XTrans system was designed to create a camera that was small in size but could deliver what a full frame camera.
I did have a read up about
quality
some of the
and
new
resolution.
features, and you've got a new processor in there as well.
New processor, new sensor, which is basically the same processor and sensor from XT3, but with new algorithms. And this is actually driving the processor.
So that beats
harder
up
and
speed,
faster.
color clarity, tonality, everything.
And it allows us to do
Don't
what
know.
X Pro 3 has been able to do. And you'll find now that you get raw files through all of the areas that you weren't able to have raw files.
What
So
files? What are
exposures
you
and
opening
things
those
like
raw files with?
So I myself have taken to using Capture One recently. I actually find that is
Very famous software program, very well respected.
I don't spend a lot of time with processing files, I must admit.
Try and get it right
I
on
actually
camera.
do like to shoot JPEG. And one of the things about both of these cameras...
Stunning JPEGs out of Fuji for years.
Yeah, they always have. But these ones now, you can actually create exactly the file look, texture, feel that you want within the camera. There's so many customizable features on here, whether you're a beginner or a real photo processing expert.
But I know pros that use the X100 often,
Absolutely.
of all the different generations.
But for the first, with X Pro 3 was the first camera I think that really came out with the ability to shoot a finished product within the camera, and this has followed on from that. So of course the other big thing that everyone's been asking about is the first X100 series camera to have a
that is a
flip-out
big
screen.
deal. Yeah, I know a lot of people have
for
been
a
asking
street
for that
camera,
for years.
that's really
because you shoot from the hip,
Yes.
you don't always want people to know you're photographing.
That's exactly correct. And also, we've made it weather resistant, providing you actually fit the filter on the front. So this lens system.
I did hear a thing, actually, I think it was even you that told me about the Fujinon UV filters. They're using the right protection filters, so they're not a UV, they're a protection. They've got the special coating that's the same as the Fujinon lenses.
All we have, we use the EBC coating, the electron beam coating, which is tend to be.
I didn't even know what
recognised
EBC
as
stood for, but now I do.
Electron beam coating. We actually use various products within the anti-glare or functionality of that lens, so zirconium oxide and things that cannot be applied to glass normally. And we developed our own system. It's called the EBC system, or electron beam coating system, where they actually fire electrons at the sensor with an electron cannon to bond that coating to the surface of the lenses. And
I feel like I'm in a Twilight Zone episode.
Oh, it is. If you see these machines, they're almost like the head of a Dalek, from Doctor Who. They look
very cool.
They actually, but it's an extremely tough coating and allows more light and provides less reflection. So it works extremely well. And if you are using our cameras, it's certainly as well to use those filters, because if you put another filter on there, another
one of the things I've
UV
loved
filter or something, you can actually affect the way the camera operates.
I've loved that the ISO control is like the old school film cameras, that you can actually pick it up and push it back down. That's a very cool feature. And on the top, obviously, you've got proper shutter speed dials like you have on the real cameras of old days and stuff like that.
But it doesn't prevent you from actually, if you don't want to use those dials, you can actually set these things so you can use the front and rear command dials and buttons and that, just like what the more modern
Fantastic.
digital cameras
So,
would rather have.
quick recap on the X100V, and when will this be in store?
It should be about 2 weeks.
Right.
If we're lucky.
Make note of that. Get your orders in now.
Silver ones, and then the black ones are a couple of weeks after that.
Oh, good. And so weather resistance on this when you use the filter?
Yes.
New sensor, new processor, Wi-Fi?
Yes.
That's new.
Definitely.
I don't think that was in the previous one.
Yeah, it had in the previous one.
But
it
it's
was
improved?
certainly there. But yes, there's
Faster?
always. It's a little bit easier to use, I find. Is you just got to have the camera switched on. You open up the app, and it takes care of all the connections and does that. But all you have to do is at first download the camera type into your app.
Yeah.
And then you make connection, and then that's it. So before you used to have to switch on the communication section of the camera, and then you had to open the app and make sure you.
Wow.
Now you just,
So with all that extra speed from the new processor, then you'll have faster frames per second, so more frames per second, better autofocus,
and 4K video.
and 4K video. So there's actually a lot. There's a lot of reasons to pop into Camera Electronic or check us out online and buy this camera. But no, even if you just want to learn a bit, please subscribe to our newsletter, join our mailing list, subscribe to our YouTube channel. And we'd love to see more of these new products. Is there a new product coming that you're allowed to say anything about, Warwick?
Maybe.
An XT
there's
something?
There's nothing I'm allowed to say.
Okay, well, stay tuned because we're going to be redoing this video with another new product from Warwick, hopefully at some point in the future.
Well,
so that's all he can say.
To use a cliche, I'll be back.
He loves it. He loves it. He's a big fan of Arnold. So, Warwick, huge thanks, mate. Really appreciate it. Thank you to our viewers, and we'll see you again soon. Cheers.